Hello and welcome back. Today's video I will be ranking all of my rainbow eyeshadow palettes. I thought this would be fun to do. I love doing ranking videos. I have a whole ranking makeup playlist. I've ranked my entire eyeshadow palette collection, although that one was almost a year ago, so I have been thinking of redoing that, but I just have some palettes I want to use more, and I've ranked highlighters and blush and all of that. So I will link that in the description box if you are interested in seeing that. I would say a rainbow palette is similar to Angelica. She recently did a video about her rainbow palettes, and she defined a rainbow palette as a very colorful palette that has all, if almost all, of the colors of the rainbow. So not one that is just, for example, like just pinks and blues. Hopefully that makes sense. Some of these, maybe are missing one or two colors, but in general, I would still consider them rainbow palettes. So yes, I will be ranking them from worst to the best, and let's get into it. Unfortunately, the palette that is in last place is the Exotic Peacock by Pinky Rose. This is actually the palette I'm wearing today, and this palette is $25, and this is the only one I would just not recommend at all. I've actually considered decluttering it. I did just recently do a video about all the palettes I've ever decluttered if you want to see that. This may be on that list soon. I don't know. The issue is that the quality is not great. The mattes are difficult to blend. They get very patchy and they get sheer. And the shimmers are better, but they're definitely chunky and they require a wet brush. And I really like the eye look I did today, but it was very difficult. Things were getting sheer. They were getting unblended. So I don't know. I love the colors though. So I would say this is still a rainbow palette. You've got pink, green, kind of yellow, peach, blue, green, most of the colors. So yeah, this is a bummer. I just wish it was higher quality, but the colors are beautiful. We shall see if I get rid of it at some point. All right, that was number 6, and on to number 5. And like I said, the rest of these I really like and I would recommend. The Warrior 3, the only reason this one is at spot number 5 is just because the color selection is not my favorite. However, the quality is amazing. I have raved about Juvia's Place quite a bit on my channel. It's one of my favorite formulas, and I would still recommend this palette. I've actually done a whole review and tutorial on this. It's gorgeous, and I love the colors that are in here for the most part. I don't love these two blue metallics. The quality is fantastic, but my issue is that on the eye, they look nearly identical, so it's just kind of weird to me that they only included 2 shimmers and that they're so close to each other. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. The mattes are fantastic. I love this pink. I love this green. This matte blue is beautiful. So I really don't have anything against this palette other than these 2 shimmers, and I think I wish there were a few other shimmers as well. Like if there were 3 or 4 shimmers and they varied more, this would be a much better palette, but it is still very high quality. On to number 4, that is the Ace Beauté Slice of Paradise. This one I have talked about a lot on my channel, and I do really, really love this one. This one is $35. Oh, the Juvia's one is $20. This one, I love the colors in here, and these mattes work very, very well. They don't get patchy, they're very smooth, easy to blend. Colorful eyeshadows can definitely be harder to work with than neutrals, and this one is great. The only con, I would say, the shimmers can be a bit chunky, but with a wet brush, they're fantastic. I do just, again, kind of wish there were maybe 1 or 2 more shimmers because there's only 2 in this whole palette, but I mean, this purple, this pink, this yellow, the orange, I love this palette. A lot of the colorful looks I've done on my channel are using this palette, so I've worn it quite a bit. I really, really enjoy it. It's great. Number 3 is the Juvia's Place Zulu palette, and at one point I would have actually picked this as my number 1 rainbow palette, but I feel like the color selection, again, isn't amazing. I do like it, but I think with these Juvia's Place 9-pan palettes, sometimes the color selection can be not my favorite, but this green, one of my favorites ever, this blue, fantastic, this pink, this purple, they're all very, very good. It is kind of strange that they just included a random brown in here. I don't know. I don't think that fits in all that well because I have noticed that if I try to darken up the outer corner with a brown when I'm using colorful eyeshadows, things get muddy quick. So I have used this with other neutral looks or on the lower lash line, but if you try to blend it in with these other colors, it doesn't go well, at least for me. So that color doesn't really make a lot of sense. And then there's a super neutral kind of rose gold, which is a beautiful color, but again, I don't feel like it goes that great with the palette. So that's really my only con, but the quality, again, Juvia's is amazing. And overall, I do like this color selection more than the Warrior 3, but again, quality, probably some of the best quality here is the Juvia's in my opinion. Alrighty, number 2, another palette I've talked about a lot, and it's one I'm actually trying to use more. This is the Carity 21 Matte. And this palette I think is $29, and this brand is now available at CVS, which is really cool. Not many people talk about this brand, but it's fantastic. This one is all matte, obviously, hence the name, but you have pretty much every matte colorful shade you would want. I mean, not every one, but quite a bit. And I just think this is really nice. I've said before, this is not a crazy pigmented palette. It can be a bit more on the sheer side, but they build up very well. They do not get patchy. They do not get choppy. They don't disappear. That's something that happens with that Pinky Rose palette. Like, even just 1 or 2 swipes, the color starts to disappear, and I hate that, but this does not happen with this palette. This one is amazing, and because I was actually struggling with that palette, I actually did add a little bit of these 2 colors because the color was disappearing out of my crease from that other palette. So this is so high quality. I really enjoy it, and there are a few neutrals in here, and they kind of make sense. Like having a black, that makes sense. Having, you know, like a white and a cream shade, again, that just works very well with this. And yeah, this is definitely one I want to use more, and it's one of my favorite palettes, really in my whole collection. All right, on to number 1, and that is the BH Weekend Festival. I've talked about this one a lot. Unfortunately, it's not available anymore, but if you have it, I recommend using it because it is so, so good. The quality on this is Juvia's Place level, which says a lot, and the color selection is fantastic. I have hit pan on this gold. This one does have a few neutral shades, but I feel like it works with the colors, unlike the few neutrals in the Zulu palette. To me, they just don't make sense in the color story, but here it makes sense. And you can actually get some fairly neutral looks, like this peach. That's one of my favorite matte peach shades like the world has ever seen. And yeah, I mean, I love this metallic blue. I mean, you don't even need to wet your brush for these. That's how foiled they are. It's insane. So I won't harp on it too long because sadly it's not available. But if you have it, I recommend using it. And if you don't have any rainbow palettes and you would want to get one, I would probably recommend either going with the Carity or one of the Juvia's Place. Kind of depends on what you're looking for. Honestly, I think these are all good except the Pinky Rose. I really would not recommend that to anyone. But yeah, I feel like with these palettes, I definitely have every colorful shade I would need. And honestly, I don't even need all 6 of these. But I do love them. And yeah, I should stop buying rainbow palettes because clearly I have enough. So yeah, that is it for this video. Let us know what you think. What is your favorite rainbow palette? I am very, very curious. And if you're interested, you can check out my ranking makeup playlist. That is it, and thank you so much for watching.